Hey guys, I'm Mark McKillier with Live Anabolic, and today I want to talk to you all about some of the best and worst exercises for your shoulders. And stick around guys, because I think a lot of you guys are going to be surprised at what I have to say. Alright, so guys, the reason we're going to focus on shoulders today is because I get so many emails and messages on our Facebook group about shoulders. Knees is right up there. Those two joints are pretty much tied with each other. And let me explain why so many men have problems with their shoulders and their knees as they get older. First of all, your shoulder is a ball and socket joint, okay? Which means it's incredibly flexible. Man, it can do all kinds of great movement here, but because it's so flexible, it means it's not nearly as strong as a lot of our other joints, all right? So that's the pros and the cons of having a really flexible joint. And another thing is, guys, a lot of you all probably have just injured your shoulders a little bit at a time over years and years of either misuse or doing the wrong kind of exercises, and you just didn't really know you were doing things wrong. So that's what I want to go over with today. Some of you guys can rehab your shoulders, all right, and actually get better. Some of you guys have got shoulders that need surgery, and there's just nothing we can do about it other than just make the muscles around the joint stronger. And of course, the stronger your muscles and ligaments and tendons are around this ball and socket joint, the more stable it's going to be, and the less likely it is to get hurt or damaged even worse than it already is. And for you lucky guys out there like me, I don't have bad shoulders. So as long as we continue to be smart about what we do as far as shoulder workouts and avoid some of these stupid exercises, there is no reason why we can't have really good, healthy, flexible shoulders way into our 70s and 80s. All right, so let's start off with the three best exercises first. And the first one I'm going to show you is actually my favorite. It's the one that I spend the most time on. I do the most sets, the most reps, the most volume. Okay, I really like this exercise, and it's called a lateral dumbbell raise. Now guys, you're not going to be able to use a lot of weight on this exercise, and once again, especially when I get to the worst exercises, weight and form are going to be really important, okay, part of this video. So a lateral dumbbell raise is literally that. I'm going to raise the dumbbells up to my side, but the thing I want you guys to pay attention to is the form and the fact that I am really focusing on getting my elbows up. So I'm not worried about trying to raise the dumbbells. I'm really just focusing on bringing my elbows up to about shoulder height, and then the dumbbells will just kind of follow along, okay? And the other thing is, guys, I'm not swinging it up. I see so many guys at the gym do this, okay? So I'm trying to stay relatively still with my upper body, my torso, and just think that my muscle connection is get those elbows up, Mark, and then control it up and then down. You don't have to go super, super slow, but if you do go a little slower than most people, first of all, that means you're not going to be able to use nearly as heavy weight if you go real slow. And guess what happens if you don't use a real heavy weight? You're less likely to strain your shoulder. You're less likely to put that joint in a compromising position with a lot of weight, which is really what screws things up. And then guys, our shoulders are made up of three primary groups of muscles. You got the front muscles, the side, the lateral, and then the rear heads. So we're getting all the muscles involved there, but still we're putting a little more emphasis on our side. So guys, this is a super way to really get those big boulder shoulders. And remember guys, when we build our shoulders, it makes you look way, way wider, okay? And the wider you are up here, the skinnier it's gonna make you look down here, even if you're carrying an extra 15, 20 pounds of belly fat, all right? It's all about proportions. So another one of my favorite shoulder exercises is the seated dumbbell press. So we're gonna be doing a military style or overhead dumbbell press. Now, first off, I realize some of you guys have got shoulder injuries that are so bad you literally can't just raise your hands, okay, above your head, even with no weight, okay? So for you guys, you're gonna have to skip this exercise, all right? Or you can do it in a modified form. And let me show you the modified form. I'm going to be doing this with no dumbbells first, just so you guys can get a good feel. So if you have really bad shoulders, I want you to at least try this. No weight in your hands, all right? So first off, we're going to be, trying to keep your back nice and straight, okay? It's going to feel almost like it's arched a little bit, chest poking out, all right? Look straight ahead, maybe even slightly up, and get your hands over here, okay? And my hands are really starting right around my ear level, okay? And so I'm just going to stare straight ahead, and I'm just going to push straight up, okay? You don't need to come together at the top, okay? So it's straight up and straight back down, and you don't have to go real low. And so guys, this is where I want you all to listen to your body, okay? If you're in your 20s and your shoulders are in fantastic shape, you don't have to worry about all these things, all right? But if you're like me, I'm 59, you need to really pay attention to what your body's telling you. So if you can do this movement with no weight at all, okay, and it doesn't hurt your joint, okay, then I want you to start with some really light dumbbells, okay? And start super light, and then just work your way up. You'll get to a point where you'll be able to tell that you've gotten a weight that's too heavy for you if you can't do at least 10 good form reps, okay? So if you're really struggling and only getting 4, 5, 6 reps, then that weight is way too heavy for you, all right? So we're gonna get the dumbbells here, and I'm gonna start basically at my ear level, okay? And once again, I'm gonna focus on a point on the wall, okay? A little higher than my eye level. I like to look up a little bit, okay? And then I'm just gonna push straight up and back down. Now guys, it's not a heavy weight, all right? And the goal is to really control the weight all the way up and all the way down, okay? And because we're sitting down, you're not gonna be able to swing the weights, okay? You're not gonna be able to use momentum to cheat, okay? So that's another thing that's gonna make it really difficult to use much weight on, okay? So what we wanna do is, instead of using a lot of weight and putting potentially a lot of stress on that relatively weak joint, we wanna use a much lighter weight and do more volume. So just do more reps and or do them slower, because when we're doing them real slow, even if you only knock out 8 reps at a real slow pace, because you're going so slow, the time under tension for these muscles is way up there, and that's what we're doing. We really want to get the time under tension, because that's what develops the soreness, the lactic acid. Your shoulders are going to start burning, and I love that feeling. The burn is what we want. What you have to distinguish between is a burn in the muscles, which is good, and a potential burn inside the joint. And they do feel different, and I know you guys are smart enough to tell the difference. So keep it light, keep the form really good and nice and slow and controlled. And as long as you can do this full range of motion, fantastic exercise for your shoulders. All right, so guys, the third exercise that I really like to do, and this is an exercise I see most people ignoring, and it targets the rear head of our shoulder, okay? And that's really neglected by the vast majority of men and even the young guys at the gym that are really hitting it hard. They just don't spend enough time working on that back part of their shoulder. And it's important because, like I mentioned earlier, your shoulder is a really weak joint. And so we really want to strengthen all the muscles around it. So a lot of guys are doing front raises and lateral raises and overhead shoulder presses. And all those movements focus more on the lateral and the front part, okay, of our shoulders. And you know, we're not really getting that rear head. So the best way to get that rear head, okay, I love doing these. It's a seated exercise with dumbbells, and I'm going to bend over, okay. I'm going to grab really light weights, okay. You can't do much weight on this. And I'm going to show you the form before I pick up the dumbbells. So I'm going to be staring straight down. I'm going to keep my head and my upper body, my torso really still, and I'm going to raise my elbows, guys. All right, once again, I don't want you thinking about raising the dumbbell. The goal is to get those elbows up nice and high and back behind your back if you can, okay? And the other thing I like to do with this exercise is the hand placement. So I want you to see how my hands are facing right now. The palms are facing back this way. And as I bring my elbows up, look where my pinkies are. They're up here, pointing. They're at the top of my hand. So I'm not bringing the weights like this. See how my thumb is at the top? I like to grab the dumbbells, okay? And when I bring them up, I'm focusing on my elbows coming up, but I'm also trying to keep my pinkies higher than my thumb. Now guys, this is an exercise that you can use momentum on, all right? Now another way is I want you to bring your feet further out away from the chair or the table or the couch or whatever you're using. And now we can do the dumbbells underneath our legs, okay? I think this is much more efficient, all right, than doing it in front of your feet. Now, once again, I want you to focus on nice, steady, controlled movement here, all right? I'm keeping my pinkies higher than my thumbs at the top, and then I'm controlling the weight down. This is how some people cheat. They will come down here and they'll swing their upper body. See how far my head is moving and my torso? So you got to really try to keep things still in nice, steady, slow, controlled movement. And then guys, you're going to feel it not only in the rear part of your shoulders, but in your back. Your upper back muscles are going to get engaged here. It's almost impossible to hit the rear shoulder muscle without engaging your upper back muscles, but those muscles are also just as important when it comes to stabilizing your shoulder. So 3 really good exercises for guys when it comes to building strong shoulders. And this one I think is an exercise that most people forget to do, and it's probably the easiest exercise for men with bad shoulders to do, because you don't need to use hardly any weight and you just need to focus on the form. Okay, so much for some of my favorite shoulder exercises. Let's talk about some of the worst things you guys can do. And I actually see far more young guys doing these than older guys, partially because as we get older, our shoulders just tend to ache and hurt a little bit, and we just simply can't do them. But some older guys are still stubborn. They're still doing the same exercises they did when they were in their 20s. And the first mistake I see most people do is use a barbell. Now I realize this is not a full barbell, but it's a solid bar, okay? And when we're using a solid bar like this, it prevents our hands and our joints from going where they would like to go. All right, so we're forcing our shoulders and our elbows, our hands, everything to move in a certain plane, okay? And a lot of times if we don't do things right, it's the wrong plane. And so the very first exercise I want you guys to avoid is a behind the head, okay, barbell shoulder press. I don't care whether you're standing or seated. All right, so obviously the barbell here and the overhead barbell press with it behind your head. Wow, it's really putting my shoulders in a compromised position. Even though my shoulders are in excellent condition, I don't have a joint problems, it just doesn't even like to go there, okay, even with no weight, all right? So guys, avoid this. Now, even in front of your head here, all right, is still a little bit more compromised than if we were doing it with individual dumbbells, okay, in front of us. So guys, just when it comes to shoulders, I would just recommend that you avoid a barbell altogether. Okay, let's move on to another one of these exercises that are really bad for your shoulders. And guess what? I'm still holding a barbell, right? All right, so there's a pattern here. So a lot of people like to do upright rows, okay? So once again, if we're holding a barbell and we're doing these upright rows, okay, yes, that really does work your shoulder muscles. So even though I tell you don't use a barbell, okay, when you do use a barbell, and I'm going to show you how to do this the wrong way with dumbbells also. When you bring the bar up and you're doing this upright row, okay, you're getting your shoulders and your arms in a compromised position. So if you ever go have your shoulder checked out by a chiropractor or a doctor, okay, a lot of times they'll tell you to get your elbow up here and then they'll push down on your wrist. and they'll see if that hurts your shoulder joint, okay? And that's what you're doing when you're lifting a heavy weight like this, whether it's with a barbell or a dumbbell. You got weight pushing down here, and you're trying to lift your elbow up here, and you're really forcing an awkward rotation, okay, of your upper arm, which affects your shoulder joint. So the same thing would happen, okay, if I was doing it with dumbbells. The thing is, this is you can lift a lot of weight like this, all right? Now, I'm lifting really lightweight at the time, but a lot of you guys, even if you're using dumbbells, will really put some big heavy weights in here. And when you try to bring it up like this, once again, yes, you're using your shoulders and your traps to raise the weight, but you're still in this compromised position at the top of the movement. And that's where you can do damage to your shoulders, especially even if you don't really feel it at the time. If you do this consistently over months and months and years, it may lead to shoulder injuries. Now, once again, guys, all of y'all are pretty smart. You can listen to your body. If it's hurting, obviously stop immediately, okay? And a lot of these exercises, especially the ones that I told you that are good for your shoulders, for guys that have particularly bad shoulders, try the movement, okay? Now, you may not be able to do full range of motion on lateral dumbbell raises, but if you can get them to here without any pain, and then from here to here it hurts, just go halfway. Just do partial movements, and then because you can't do full range of motion, I want you to do really slow, great form, very, very controlled. And that time under tension from doing it real slow will make up for the fact that you're not getting the full range of motion. All right, so here's another one of the worst exercises you can do for your shoulders. And it's gonna throw you a little curveball here, because guess what? I just showed you a few minutes ago, and it was on my best list. So how can an exercise be one of the best ones you can do for your shoulders and one of the worst ones? Well, let me show you guys. Lateral dumbbell raises with real heavy weights. And because they're too heavy to use good form, you'll end up doing things like this. All right, so any exercise, no matter how good it is for you from a design perspective or a form perspective, can turn into a terrible exercise if you use too much weight. And guys, don't let your egos get in the way when we're lifting, especially on certain exercises that can really screw up your joints. Because let me tell you, when I go to the gym, I see some guys using terrible form with that exercise, way too much weight, swinging upper body. And then I'll see a guy that's just huge, and I mean big, ripped, huge muscular guy. You know, he competes, all right? And I'll see him using a very modest weight, much less weight than the goofy guy over there in the corner, you know, trying to ego lift. But the serious bodybuilder, and I'm talking about guys that are, you know, way bigger than me, and I mean these guys are just using just incredible form, just super, super strict, slow. They do a ton of reps, they do a ton of sets, and they just used volume to build the muscle instead of using their ego and a real heavy weight. All right, so to just kind of wrap things up here, guys, our shoulders, our knees, two joints that really give us problems as we get older, but there really are things we can do to strengthen those joints and to build the muscles around them. And we got some fantastic programs on our website. You really need to check them out, okay? So Gary Walker and myself have several different workout programs. They're on our website. Just click the link below. It'll take you there. Look at all these different programs. They're super inexpensive and they're really well designed. And I get hundreds, well, probably thousands of men sending emails, thank you letters, posts on our Facebook group saying how much they've enjoyed these workout programs, how it's helped them not just lose weight and build muscle, but it's also helped them become more flexible and actually helped lower the pain, all right, lessen the pain that they had in their shoulders and their knees just from exercising the right way. So check it out, guys, and I promise if you stick with it, over time, you will always see great results.